Good morning, Pastor Steve here again. 1 Peter 2:19 and 20. For this finds favor if, for the sake of conscience toward God, a person bears up under sorrows when suffering unjustly. For what credit is it if when you are beaten for your faults you take it patiently? But when you do good and suffer, if you take it patiently, this is commendable before God. There's a time coming when we may, like other believers around the world, be called on to physically suffer imprisonment, or even more severe forms of persecution. First off, don't look for it. Don't go out and act like a twit so you can get persecuted and say, look, I'm suffering for Jesus. Make sure that your suffering is for Jesus' sake. Don't start doing something because they told you not to if you weren't doing it willingly. Remember Daniel when he was thrown into the lion's den? It was for doing what he had always done. He didn't wake up one morning and say, oh, the king signed an edict. Huh? Well, I'm going to start doing that just because now. Not a, well, I will show them mood. You honor God now and keep living the same way. 1 Peter 4:14 through 16 says, if you're reproached for the name of Christ, blessed are you, for the spirit of glory and of God rests upon you. On their part he's blasphemed, but on your part he's glorified. But let none of you suffer as a murderer, a thief, an evildoer, or a busybody in other people's matters. If anyone suffers as a Christian, let him not be ashamed, but let him glorify God in this matter. One commentator says someone who intrudes into matters that belong to someone else. Peter's dealing with matters that would lead to persecution, like getting involved in revolutionary disruptive activity or interfering in the function of the flow of government. Might refer to being a troublesome, meddlesome in the worst place. As general rule, Christian living in a non-Christian culture is simply do your work faithfully to exalt Jesus Christ and live a virtuous life, and don't try to overturn or disrupt the culture. Whoa. 1 Peter 2:13 through 16 instructs us to submit yourselves to the laws of man for the Lord's sake. Kings, governors, he said that for this is the will of God, that by doing so you may put to silence the ignorance of foolish men. So when they come to get you, make sure it's because you are preaching the gospel of Christ, not the message of insurrection. I fear that many of us have become so entrenched in our politics that we forget our mandate to preach the gospel. We somehow think that changing the political climate will make life and its problems much better or go away. Paul said, what I want to live. In 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 2, I determined to know nothing among you except Jesus Christ and him crucified. Pray for me. You ponder that. Pastor Steve.